Hey, what is up ladies and gentlemen, I am Duffy Duck here from the likes of the Mercy Toys videos, and ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to more Let's Play of Super Mario Galaxy 2 for the Nintendo Wii/Nintendo Wii U eShop download. So, yeah, last time we did manage to able to gather the rest of the green stars in new forms of World 4, ever since during new forms of on Monday potentially. And today for this episode is the fact that we're about to be continuing things on, and we're about to be moving on to World 5 green stars. So either way though, that as far as you're already aware, why did I almost accidentally enter this particular door over there, but either way though, we'll leave things up to Luigi for the majority of the green stars, you know. So either way though, there's not much else to say. So either way though, yeah, there's not much going on for this point today, apart from the fact that, you know how I mentioned this before, ever since during the forms of the previous part of Super Mario Galaxy 2, that recently yesterday, and especially noticeable if I already mentioned about this before, in Yoshi's Woolly Worlds recently, about the fact the matter is though, is that yes, the State of Play Direct from PlayStation has officially been announced. Quite a few little bit of things for that specific day, ever since in yesterday, but we'll go for the entirety of the list as soon as we're able to actually just get on with the actual, you know, just the green stars themselves. So either way though, to begin with this though, is the fact that we're about to be getting things started with, Space Storm Galaxy first, and then all the way to the very end to, well, let's just say in Bowser Jr.'s Boom Bunker, but he forms of, well, the last Bowser Jr. stage in the entirety of Super Mario Galaxy 2. So, relatively speaking, there's always not much else to really talk about it. And yeah, as you can see right there, we're actually going to be getting that green star number 1. And you remember about the fact that this is a prime example about the fact that, well, at this point in time is that the majority of the green stars, especially noticeable in World 5 and 6 and beyond, well, not only does it make it a little bit tricky and difficult to obtain, but it's also the fact that some of these missions that requires you to able to explore quite a number of things might actually get a little bit more slightly longer, just because, well, for one noticeable thing is the fact that if you manage to get enough practice on the forms of several green stars to obtain, well, to be more specifically, you need to get your biggest momentum when you're trying to pull up the actual pole star. But if you try to aim it at the right angle, then you would able to actually guarantee you get yourselves the first green star in Space Storm Galaxy. So either way though, well, it wasn't until whenever we get to the first stage on the forms of World 6, which appears to be Multi-Monster Galaxy, that could be another green star we need to utilize with the pole star thing. So either way though, well, we're not going to get ahead of ourselves until, let's just say, in this Friday, because as a result of this kinds of stuff though, that's, you know, we're actually getting slowly about to be able to actually conclude this Let's Play, as I said this countless amount of times, but either way though, we'll, sure enough, we can able to live with that. So, as for Green Stars 2 and 3, luckily though, they're going to be on this particular mission, which I don't mind about it too much, because either way though, some of them can be pretty easy to spot though, and whilst in some other fashion, about the fact that, well, some first-time players who ever experienced this particular stage by itself, sometimes they always manage to able to actually do not even know how to get that particular green star, specifically either green star 2 or 3. But either way though, once again, as for me though, I'm actually going to be completely ignoring the actual slow down time switch or anything like that. So either way though, because, well, I'm pretty much more used to it for this point, because either way though, who needs the actual time switch anyway, because if we launch ourselves onto that specific bubble, as you can see from that point of view, this means we get ourselves the other green star. I keep on thinking of grand stars, because we've pretty much done with all these grand stars collecting, because the majority of them right now, oh, I'm sorry, green star 3, oh, okay. At first I thought it was going to be green star number 2, because I was expecting if, green star number 2 should be at the bottom, whilst the forms of green star number 3 should be on the actual, like, the highest height a little bit, but either way though, it's a little bit confusing coding side of things, but either way though, that's besides the point. So, yeah, before we get to the actual announcements that has been announced due to the forms of State of Play Direct for PlayStation department, apparently that Sonic and Pinkie Pie has not even mentioned about this at all in the forms of their Let's Play of Super Mario Party, is that apparently though, there's gonna be some cut out content on the forms of that specifically in Super Mario Party, and that was the fact that with To be more specifically with unused items, specifically the early version of the Coinado item, which appears to be a red texture look instead of the blue, unlike the final version of that specific game as it is. And especially noticeable with the unused, ×2 card where it says like, the star on it. Well, usually, relatively speaking, we've already had a double card item from the likes of the partner party mode. But, usually instead of the actual, like, the blue card or something, but instead it's been replaced by the forms of, let's just say, a pinkish or red color. I can't really tell if I can able to actually guess that correctly because, well, I know it's been such a long while since I actually looked upon unused content from the forms of certain video games and etc. But either way though, as you can see, we did manage to able to gather the green star number 2 as you can see. But either way though, we could have saved green star 3 for later, but I accidentally managed to obtain green star number 3 by accident, by not going in a chronological order though, you see. But either way though, we'll take it as it goes by, but either way though, we'll leave things up to that. So anyways though, that takes care of the forms of Space Storm Galaxy, and now let's move on now to Blue Moon Galaxy will be up next. So even then though, because I'm actually going to be going those in the, chronological order, So either way though, there's one particular unused board, which originally was supposed to have 5 boards or more than that in Super Mario Party. And speaking of Super Mario Party, actually, I'm pretty sad to tell you for this point, guys, no DLC planned, because, well, I just felt a little bit more sad when it comes to, like, well, don't get me wrong, I really enjoyed the game though, but it's just that it's kind of a shame it doesn't even have, like, DLC at all. Well, unfortunately for us though, is the fact that we're pretty much going to be stuck around with the limited amount of boards, like specifically 4 of them, which I kind of wish they were able to actually add in, like, let's just say 5, and they'll be okay, just like the forms of how it does in Mario Party 10, especially noticeable with Mario Party DS essentially, because it makes perfect sense on Mario Party DS to able to have likely 5 boards just because of the limitations of the DS hardware. But I've no idea why that most of these ND-Cube Mario Party titles, specifically for Mario Party Island Tour as well as Star Rush, have more boards than the forms of how it does it on, to be more specifically, Mario Party 10 and Super Mario Party. And hell, even with the forms of the top 100, because the top 100 does only have like 1 board, which really disappoints me. And yeah, that's as far as I can usually just try to think about this for the time. I'm pretty sure we've already mentioned about this, like, several times in the past, ever since during the forms of almost, like, a year ago right now. But either way, though, let's not get ahead of ourselves for that game for the time being. Because, well, basically, we pretty much almost, like, well, I'm pretty sure at this point in time, well, I'm not exactly sure if we're going to be doing a redo Let's Plays of Island Tour or 10. Well, when it comes to the forms of the Let's Play department, or even then, let me know in the comments below. But apparently, though, we actually did manage to conclude every single of those ND-Cube Mario Party titles, Let's Plays, and all that such. So either way, though, well, assuming we can able to actually do some redo Let's Play of Mario Party 10 at some point in the future, well, I don't know exactly for sure about it, because, well, the amount of views that we've actually got is actually really, quite big. Well, not as quite as big as compared to the forms of our Let's Play of Mario Party 9, because Mario Party 9, when it comes to the view standpoints, is actually, well, way up in the charts. Well, at least as far as up on the graph. But either way, though, as far as I've already checked upon, by the forms of the actual status about that specific Let's Play itself. I've heard of the fact that, our particular Let's Play of Mario Party 9 does it so well. The only least appealing of the forms of the ND-Cube Mario Party Let's Plays for the time, it will probably be Super Mario Party-ish, but that's only because this is a new game in the series or something, or perhaps the most recent Mario Party game that has been released by this point. And, yeah, I found it still a little bit more bizarre about the fact that we're not getting a new Mario Party for this year, because I think this is probably something to do with likely for the actual selling points for Super Mario Party Record as it is for now, because unlike the forms of the other games, they didn't sell well though, well, except by the forms of, well, to be more specifically, Mario Party Island Tour, because Mario Party Island Tour did receive the Nintendo Selects lineup, alongside with Mario Party 10, and as well as Mario Party 9 were only on the UK country though, not on the American country per se. But as far as Star Rush and the Top 100, these two didn't sell well compared to the forms of any other, the majority of any other Mario Party games, that's for some circumstances though anyway, but still. There's that one particular board, the unused board I was going to talk about for Super Mario Party, where they seemed able to cut off. That particular board might be slightly similar to the forms of the final board, and I accidentally died just because I just got knocked back by that specific ghost enemy, which is terrific, because either way though, that's not a good start, that's not a good sign for that specific death. I probably won't need death for the time, but anyway, so let's go ahead and get some more musical notes, just so that we can able to get even more extra lives, assuming if we're able to have an easier time on the actual green stars department. So either way though, let's grab them. And we got about 40 of those extra lives so far, which is really good, because nonetheless though, it's the fact that if we manage to get towards at the very end of this Let's Play itself, well, we can assure to you about the fact that we might die quite a few times just because of the amount of, you know, attempts to able to get the green stars for that regard. But anyway, so let's go and launch ourselves from here. And right off the bat though, green star number 2 is going to be on here. The best advice for this is, use the backflip, because if you somehow do the regular jump instead of like, the backflip, well, you're probably not going to get that much momentum in midair. So, yeah, best advice for you, just do that technique, because that way, it will really help you out, especially if you really want to get that green star underneath that crescent moon. So either way though, 197 of those power stars. So we naturally got about 3 power stars to go until specifically whenever we reach to 200 of these power stars itself. I mean, honestly, that was before when Super Mario Odyssey might actually brings us to the insane amount of those power moons, I should say, because either way though, because that game is ridiculously big compared to the forms of how it does it in a linear style. When it comes to the forms of Super Mario Galaxy and Super Mario Galaxy 2, well, don't get me wrong, I enjoyed those games for like a lot actually, because these are my favorite Nintendo Wii games of all time whenever I managed to able to play them, because either way though, you can now get them now on you know, the Wii U and all that. Well, I don't really think that most people seem to play the Wii U these days now, because obviously they are moving on to, well, you know, Nintendo Switch, especially notable with the most recent release of Nintendo Switch Lite for most kids out there. Apparently though, you never heard the fact that with that Nintendo Switch Lite has been just recently released as well, alongside the exactly the same day as the forms of how it does it on The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening Remake. Apparently though, you can also use your Joy-Cons, but only if you can able to actually lay your Nintendo Switch Lite flatter or anything like that. I'm not really not 100% sure about the fact that that particular game will support to play Super Mario Party with, because other than the fact that, well, I've already mentioned about this before, is the fact that that particular game does not have the handheld mode support, but instead you have to most likely use the Joy-Cons, which thankfully it is compatible with it, and I've certainly discovered to realize is that you can able to actually connect up to likely, let's just say 8 in the original Nintendo Switch, and then, well, at least to be more specifically, 8 controllers as a result. But at least if you want to count the Joy-Cons, especially noticeable with the actual Switch Pro controller and stuff like that. So, but apparently though, whenever I've seen some other YouTube videos about the forms of the control support with the forms of the actual Nintendo Switch Lite, apparently though, you can able to actually connect up to likely, let's say, 9 of them. Well, you can still able to connect 8 of those regular controllers, but apparently though, there are about 9 of the actual controllers you're going to be using. Like, for instance, any type of controller, it doesn't really matter you'll be using for specifically for the Joy-Cons, the Pro Controller, and you name it. And there's also another one too, by the forms of the actual handheld Nintendo Switch Lite itself. And I was like, holy macaroni, I'd never seen that one coming, because either way though, I wasn't really know up until now anyway though, because some YouTubers out there managed to able to upload that specific video that allows Nintendo Switch Lite can able to hold up for about 9 controllers, which is pretty insane if you ask me. But imagine about the fact that with the later re-release of the actual Nintendo Switch hardware, specifically the Pro version of that specific model, if it really depends if that's gonna happen, if they're able to connect it for about 10 of them, oh my god, that'll be insane if you ask me. That will be entirely insane. So anyways, that pretty much takes care of the forms of Boom Moon Galaxy, as you can see. And now we move on to Upside Dizzy Galaxy. Thankfully though, those green stars are somewhat close to each other, except on this section here, because either way though, whoever needs that section anyway. And besides, we've already managed to able to accomplish everything, especially noticeable with the actual garbage dump missions. So either way though, well, to be more specifically, the actual burning boxes, because I keep on thinking of the original Super Mario Galaxy for some reason, but even then though, except the fact that we're not dealing with bombs and all that such, but instead we need to use the Fire Flower, and that's all there is to know. So yeah, I think relatively speaking also is the fact that speaking of the I really can't speak today for this point, folks. The actual Fire Flower power-up, I'm pretty sure we've already saw all the Luigi's power-ups as it is. Well, I believe there's only one exception, which is, Invincibility Luigi or something, but either way though, it's just a minor convenience, and it's also that, it doesn't really add anything onto the forms of the Starship Mario itself. Unless if you're trying to, like, hack the game or something like that, to able to transform into, not only for the amount of transformations in this game, but also some unused transformations ever since the forms of the first game, specifically Flying Mario, or especially noticeable with Ice Mario, which I understand that those power-ups never return here, because I'm pretty sure enough those because, well, they pretty much got replaced by the forms of the Rock Mushroom and the, well, to be more specifically, my favorite power-up in this entire game, which is of course Cloud Flower power-up, which either way though, those power-ups rocks. But anyway though, another thing I want to point out right away is the fact that, when it comes to like everything else though, well, yeah, let's get into the forms of the actual likely, the cutout, you know, another board from the likes of Super Mario Party, and that was the fact that it's kind of like the similar, board as the forms of how it does it on the final board, but except it doesn't go completely gold themed. Instead, it was actually based on from almost inspired by New Donk City almost, but apparently though it's supposed to be some sort of like a tallest tower building game board or anything like that. Now I have no idea why that particular board is being scrapped, but I'm pretty sure it's probably because we're pretty much out of time for developing it. So, and look at that, we got 200 power stars. How about that? And I believe we've only got about 40 more of those green stars to go. So either way though, we haven't well, we haven't got far into it though. Well, we haven't got far left from it though, so we actually came pretty close. So now let's move on to Slipsand Galaxy, and after that, well, I'm pretty sure we're going to be moving on to Shiverburn after this, and then after that, well, we're going to be able to move on to Fleet Glide, and of course, save Bowser Jr.'s Boom Bunker for last, because, you know, we feel like we're going to do that specific similar system as you expect. So, anyway, though, yeah, because I was, quite optimistic about that specific board, well, at least as far as the unused board from the likes of Super Mario Party, but of course it never saw light of day, sadly, just because, well, obviously because DLC was never being planned at all. Seriously, I just really wish if DLC would exist in a Mario Party game, because, for God's sakes, ND Cube, please give us DLC content in the future installments. Well, I appreciate if you're able to actually add in online for the first time, but it's just only for minigames only, not for the actual board features. Like, even for Boom Street does manage to have online features and stuff like that from the actual board game aspect. But unfortunately though, because we actually got past through 2014, this means we can no longer going to be playing online play on Boom Street anymore, because, you know, the service has been shut down, which I was a little bit sad. But, nonetheless though, I can still able to get back into that game though. In fact, speaking of Boom Street actually, I haven't really touched upon that game for almost like 3 years now. I think the only reason why is because, oh my god, I cannot even reach there because of my, rubbish depth perception. But, at least I might as well. Oh, really? You take me all the way back here? Oh, I just realized sort of forgot to activate the checkpoint ever since during the forms of some segments ago. Whatever. We'll leave it up to that as it goes by, but even then, hopefully though, we can able to... Yeah, let's just burn ourselves for a little bit of moments there. I just realized. So, anyway though, because it's kind of a shame about the fact that although from the actual perspective of that specific unused city board aspect with the forms of Super Mario Party with the actual the skyscraper or something like that, and by the forms of the daytime as opposed to nighttime, and it's not as gold heavy as the forms of how it does it on the final board on Mario Party mode and Partner Party mode in Super Mario Party. But from what I've seen the actual screenshot of it though, it appears to be somewhat based off from Partner Party, I would say, because it has like you know, the title system. You know, it kind of reminds me of that particular board from Mario Party Star Rush somehow. But either way though, let's not get ahead of ourselves for this point. So anyways, let's hook onto the wall, and then that way we get ourselves a green star properly. So either way though, there we go. That takes care of green star number 1. And I'm pretty sure green star 2 and 3, we're going to be most likely have to be focusing on the sliding segments. Oh my goodness gracious. I'm actually slightly nervous about this actually, because, well, we haven't exactly got into those green stars as of now. But even then, we'll get this thing on the shot. So either way though, yeah, that's as far as everything else as far as I'm aware. Although today, that Mario Kart Tour on the iPhone devices and also the Android phones as well, they magically came out recently today, which even then though, and I'm really looking forward to trying that game out for myself, and I'll give my first impressions of it as soon as I'm able to actually get back onto more uploading schedules, specifically for Yoshi's Woolly World and a little bit on the forms of well, specifically in this game until on Friday, you know. So yeah, speaking of Mario Kart Tour actually, it's the fact that I've noticed that right off the bat, is the fact that Pauline, you know Pauline from the likes of Super Mario Odyssey, that she now managed to able to bring her, you know, major role from that point. Especially noticeable that she's now a playable character in Mario Tennis Aces as the forms of the actual likely post-launch updates and all that such. But apparently though, she's now going to be coming on to the kart racing for the first time, which either way though, I was really excited about that, because either way though, that whoever needs the actual another female character who needs the forms of Pauline, I should do, because either way though, I was a little bit surprised about the fact that while she doesn't make her playable appearance in any forms of the Olympic Games to this point, because I've no idea why that she's probably not going to go for the Olympic Games in Tokyo 2020, but even then I have no idea why that she's not going to go for all that stuff. But I just wish if she will be on the party game or something like that, most notably with the next Mario Party game for sure. But it's really hard to decide at this point, because either way though, that as far as at this point in time, Super Mario Party was the only current Super Mario, or what did I say, Super Mario Party? The current Mario Party game we ever having at the moment. So anyways, let's grab this green star over there, and then that way we should able to actually get the third and the final green star in the process. So yeah, that's the green star number 2 right there. The biggest recommendation whenever you're trying to deal with the forms of the sliding segments, you have to pull the control stick upwards until you're able to actually slow down a bit, until you're able to actually get yourselves a little bit more of a momentum going, or in this case, not so much momentum, but it's more accurately though, you can able to slow yourself down onto that specifically on the sliding segments, which you should definitely recommend you able to use that specific tip, because otherwise, if you somehow manage to go too fast and then you do not even know the green star was supposed to be on the far left on that specific sliding segment at the very beginning of that specific segment, well, you're probably able to actually bypass that completely, so something's worth mentioning. Now let's move on to green star number 3, and I think we'll pretty much take care of the forms of slip sand as it goes by. So either way though, aside from everything else though, oh yeah, let's get into the actual main point of that specific discussion upon the, you know, trying able to still collect the green stars. As you can see, let's get to the mentioning about the forms of the PlayStation's State of Play Direct, which, you know, as I mentioned before, it did happen recently yesterday. So either way though, let's get into the actual announcements they actually did recently announce. And that was the fact that they actually put out to ourselves the new games they're going to be coming out at some point in next year, and eventually at this point at the very end of the year. So let's go from the actual start from the beginning, such as Humidity, which what I've seen the gameplay of it so far, it kind of makes me interested into it, but I will point things out right away is the fact that I found the PlayStation State of Play might be uninspired compared to the forms of how it does it in the most hypest moments in the forms of Nintendo Direct, despite the fact that I felt like Nintendo Direct, on specifically the most recent one, I found is a little bit more of a my least favorite Directs I've ever seen. But it's just because of how the fact that I just really cannot even believe they actually just managed to ignore the actual hint of that Super Mario Sunshine particular HD makeover or something. But it's probably just me anyway though, because I'm still really into the forms of playing some Mario stuff, you know. But either way though, that's besides the point. So, anyways though, and I believe with the forms of Humidity, with the forms of the PlayStation 4 game, I think it's about to due out at some point in next year. Well, I don't know when exactly is to be exact, but either way though, we'll just think about it for the time being. But let's just go ahead and grab that green star very carefully. In fact, it was actually... No! Oh, dang it, I just missed it! Oh, god dang it. I have to take my extra life out. But that's okay though, because we got a checkpoint right there. Because if you somehow accidentally, you know, activate that checkpoint coming up after that sliding segment, well, unfortunately for you, you need to able to pause the game and then just try to quit the stage, and then try that another attempt again. So, yeah, definitely a little bit tricky though, because you need to be so precise with your movements and all that such, but still, if you manage to get the hang of it though, I think you will be okay with it, but it's just that, well, again, the best strategy for this is the fact that I highly recommend you able to pull up the, you know, control stick and to able to actually use this to, you know, slow down a little bit. So either way that you don't bump in all over the place and all that such, especially you really don't want to get crushed into the forms of those obstacles like this. But there we go, second attempt as far as better it will get. But either way though, that takes care of Slip Sand. And I believe we're actually now on the halfway point of World 5. It probably took me about like 27 minutes so far. But until World 6, on the other hand though, oh boy, it will get a lot more longer as it goes by. Which, believe me, it will be certainly not joking for this point. But anywho. So anyways, next up we're going to be doing is, of course, as I said before, Shiverburn will be up next. So, another game they did actually announce with the forms of State of Play, and that was the forms of Hatwin, which... it's kind of a weird game per se for me though, but I'm pretty sure enough that game will about to be releasing at some point, at least at the very end of that specific year. But either way though, we'll find things out whenever that time comes, as far as, you know, days are about to be, you know, finishing for a quicker amount of time. But anyways though, as far as everything else, as far as I'm concerned, there was one particular game that most people seem to get really interested of, and that was the fact that with, you know, with the remake of the forms of Medieval, that actually brings us to more information about it, which either way though, that still has its release date by the forms of the 25th of October, perfect timing for Halloween, and especially noticeable they actually brings us into Death Staring, which I think is about to due out at some point in this year as well. But either way though, to make matters even much more of an extra the extra thing that we actually able to come by, and that was the fact that with Death Staring, or the actual Death Standing, was actually getting its limited edition PlayStation 4 system, which I'm pretty sure it's basically just the PS4 Slim, or actually to be more accurate, the PS4 Pro model, because I can definitely tell that I did see the actual design of it though, and I don't know when that's going to release though, because again, unlike Nintendo Directs, where I can basically know every single release date on that department right there, but unfortunately though, for State of Play, I never normally looked upon so many stuff, specifically on, you know, State of Play announcements, apart from those some exceptions. So, and also, much like always with the forms of, you know, with the Call of Duty stuff, specifically Call of Duty Modern Warfare, which I could have doubted for that would be a better name, rather than the forms of borrowing the exactly the same game title as the forms of how it does it in 2007 or something for Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. but apparently they just weren't able to bring that name again, but this time with some sort of a new game or a remake. I really can't tell which was which, but I'm pretty sure it's gonna be like a remake or something like that, not like a remastered version, or like in 2016 or something. But either way though, it's hard to tell about this specific stuff at this point, guys. But either way though, just burn my butt! Oh, please, 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 don't ever die on me. Don't ever die on me. Now, I'm hoping I don't die on specifically the next few green stars as far as I'm aware. Oh, I just died! That stupid laser just come out of nowhere, right into the actual side of me. But hey, at least we actually respawned onto that specific point right there. But I could have potentially able to actually just, although the only reason why I'm doing this is because, well, I'm actually trying to get the green star number 3 first, and then green star 2 after this, because I feel like green star number 3 might be a little bit tricky when it comes to this stage, because, do you remember any forms of several other of those green stars that you need to acquire the Cloudflower power-up at all times, specifically in Starshine Beach, that we do need able to actually save some of them and to able to actually reach the highest height, and especially noticeable if you really want to try to get that specific green star itself. But that's the prime example about the fact that specific solution here. So, anyway though, and another new announcement that it brings us into is the fact that, well, as far as The Last of Us fans will already know, that you'll be happy to know is the fact that The Last of Us Part 2 is officially announced, and to top it all off, it got itself its release date at long last. And I think it's going to do exactly the same date as it's going to be releasing at some point in 2020. But except, unlike in Final Fantasy VII Remake, it's about to due out at some point on the 3rd of March in 2020. But instead, the Forms of Last of Us Part 2 is going to be releasing until the February the 21st of 2020, so that'll be pretty exciting to say the least. Oh, Jesus Christ, I died again! I'm being so hasty, aren't I? Well, I guess there's no luck for me to able to get that 3rd green star to begin with, so I guess we'll save that up for later, so that kind of stinks though. But either way though, because relatively speaking, it's the fact that the ultimate challenge about Green Star 3 though to me, and that was the fact they need to keep the actual power-up all by itself, not just... I just died again! What is going on with me? Oh my goodness gracious. Let's not act out like an idiot. Let's not act out like an idiot. Let's just, focusing on that specific green star as it will go. But anyway though, and son of a biscuit. You know I'm bad at video games and all that stuff. Well, I'm not exactly bad at it. It's just that some skills like that, I'm always having a little bit of a tough time trying to able to pull some of these skills off. But either way, it's just a minor inconvenience anyway. So now you can see green star number 2 just beyond, right at the very edge of that specific lava, as you can see right there. Oh my god, whoa! Jesus Christ, man, calm down already with all this little jumping, reacting parts. But either way though, I'm pretty much safe. Oh man, that is so crazy. That is really crazy with that jump. But anyway though, we got 205 power stars at this point right now. And I think that we might actually go ahead and wrap things up with Shiver Burn in the forms of, what else? Green Star 3. So either way though, as I mentioned before, it does require a Cloudflower power-up until whenever we decide to save it. Because again, if you're completely power-up-less, like specifically if we don't have power-ups at all, like for instance the Bee Mushroom or the Cloudflower power-up, well, you're basically gonna go bypass the actual cloud platform without even realizing it. So just want to point things out, because I'm sure many of you already watched our redo Let's Play, or in this case the actual Let's Play of it now, of Super Mario Galaxy with the improved quality and as well as commentary and everything. Well, you're most likely going to be able to tell by the specific solution, so... And yeah, that's as far as I can really try to discuss upon with the forms of State of Play, PlayStation Direct for this point. But then again, I found it kind of unremarkable compared to the forms of how it does it in, you know, the most recent Nintendo Directs these days, because apart from the fact that they did managed to able to get something out of it though, but unlike the forms of Nintendo Directs, where I was simply hyped for almost everything, well, some exceptions mind you, but most of the time, in the forms of State of Play Directs, I don't know, it doesn't seem to really stick up with me. But either way, it's just my little bit of convenience that that is far as usually, you know, you can probably get the idea for that point. I do apologize with the actual the actual commentary for this point because of you know, not much else to tell. But anyway, though, so let's just be very careful around here because otherwise, we need to dodge a lot of enemies. And by the way, if you manage to get hit by any enemies, or even especially noticeable with the enemy projectiles and stuff like that, you also might as well able to lose your power-up itself as well. So relatively speaking, this might be actually be the most, probably one of the most trickiest green stars to get. If only if you really want to try to save up your, you know, the Cloudflower power-up at all costs. But anyway, and I think it's going to be right near where the one-up mushroom is, so even then I will land there safely, and hopefully we'll grab the green star no matter what. It doesn't really matter how much cloud platforms you're going to be creating. I can assure you, you can able to only keep about, well, let's just say 3 or 2 or 1. It really doesn't matter for you though, unless if you accidentally waste one of them, but at least on the upside though is the fact that the actual jump height of that specific power-up is actually really good. So that way you can able to reach up there super instantly. So anyways, that takes care of Sugarburn Galaxy, and now let's move on now to Fleet Glide Galaxy right now. I think the first green star is actually very easy to get, and then the second one on the other hand though, well, we'll probably get to that whenever we're able to try to find that green star as a result. So let's get into green star number 1, and conveniently enough, it's the fact that this will be the final time we're going to be able to be using Fluzzard the Bird type of controls. Well, until when it gets to 2011, which, you know, they're able to actually reuse the actual, the bird type controls again ever since in The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword in 2011. I just wish if that particular game will get its HD remake at some point on the Nintendo Switch, but unfortunately still not happened. So dive right down and get yourself the first green star. So yeah, pretty easy to miss though, especially if you're first time ever experiencing these green star experiences though. But the reason why I managed to dive right in because, well, that's what the first green star is. Yeah, very easy to obtain, and I know it already, so either way though, that, wow, it does manage to almost took me for about under 20 seconds or less. Well, assuming if I'm trying to be fast enough with all these text boxes and all that such, but whatever though, at least we can able to cope with that stuff. So anyways, now let's move on to green star number 2, and I think green star number 2 is going to be at the very end of that specific mission itself, so either way though, we'll get this one straight onto it. Oh yeah, one more thing I just want to point out right away is the fact that, you know, if I did manage to used to go myself Sonic Mega Collection Plus on the PC, well, it might be seems redundancy as far as I'm aware, because I've already got the actual compilations of Sonic Mega Collection Plus, both versions actually, on the PlayStation 2 as well as the original Xbox. But as far as the PC version, as far as I'm concerned, I was able to actually just try to boot it up on my laptop and stuff. But unfortunately though, it won't allow me to able to actually play the game unless if I'm trying to access to the actual Add Mini Nicer, which I think that's what the actual program is telling me. And I keep on trying that and trying to able to actually access to a different logon and all as such. Apparently though, my well, the game itself, well, it managed to able to work just fine on my computer. Now I managed to have found it for very cheap on the forms of some charity shops and all that stuff. But the only annoying thing wasn't actually, even when it gets the launches to appear, but the game itself doesn't actually start, which is really irritating. But then again, because it's, you know, it's a very old game and all that stuff, because it's been out for about, you know, for about 13 years and stuff. Oh, I just missed that green star! God dang it. I'm also able to take it here quite a few times. And by the way, if you manage to fly slightly slower onto this specific segments like this happens. The actual gate itself, or the actual security door, has been closed off, and there's no way you can able to actually peek out of it. So you're basically trapped if you get so slow. So I just want to keep that in mind, because I'm pretty sure most people already, well, know about that right about now. So either way, though, well, I guess there's no point for me to able to go for these gates anymore, because otherwise, we've already managed to collect the forms of every single common medals, haven't we? Well, it wasn't until whenever we find out later, though, on the other hand, though, until, as I mentioned before, until the 12th of October, that we might be able to find out on that specific day. But either way, though, not now, though, because, well, we're still focusing on these green stars as a result. So, anyway, though, so let's just go ahead and dodge a lot of these bonsai bills, as well as these walls that we need to also avoid. Thankfully, though, it's not that far from here, though, I would say for this point right about now, but either way, though, it just gets really tricky sometimes, because I swear, the actual camera angles on this sometimes, it's like, no! I just missed it again! Let me just kill myself by, let the security door the security door do it for me. I hate this freaking green star sometimes, but either way, though, we'll, try that again. But nothing compares to the forms of, World S green stars, because, well, one of them is going to be a little bit of a pain in the butt to able to get. But either way, though, we'll not mention about that right now, up until, the 11th of October, as far as you already know. Because, we just want to able to finish this Let's Play around the same day as when My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. The actual series of the actual show, as well as Season 9, will be concluded. But, I said this loads of times before, but even then, I will mention more on that, during at some point on this Friday. Well, it wasn't until whenever we get to, later on in October, that we probably gonna stop mentioning about that specific stuff as it is, because, well, I'm basically not gonna say any spoiler territories or anything like that, so either way, that's saying much. No! Ah! God dang it, that's the 3rd time I accidentally bypassed this! Ah, screw this. Ah, Jesus Christ. That green star can, just bane for my existence anyway, though, but hopefully, though, for the 4th time's a charm, hopefully we'll get this time. And I'm hoping, though, that the final 2 green stars in World 5 won't be nearly as hard as this, though. Well, at least for the most part for me, though, but hey. So anyways, back into what I was saying about the forms of I was used to manage to have myself Sonic Mega Collection Plus on the PC. And as a result of this kind of stuff, the game itself doesn't actually start on my laptop, which is absolutely irritating me. But I understand because it's a very old game, which it did manage to came out ever since in 2006, around as bizarrely enough on exactly the same year as when Sonic Riders came around on the well, all of the platforms, including the worst Sonic games ever made. Well, 2 of them actually. Well, at least I give Sonic 06 some credit for, because it has like the amazing music and stuff, whilst everything else has been, well, a little bit more of a embarrassment per se. But in the forms of Sonic the Hedgehog Genesis on the Game Boy Advance is an absolute disaster, because, they did manage to ruin Sonic the Hedgehog 1 on the go. Well, at least they did manage to slightly fix it on, the DS version, which is specifically on Sonic Classic Collection, but sometimes the emulation doesn't match up compared to the forms of the Genesis or the Mega Drive counterparts. Well, compared to the iPhone version release, however, though, well, I'm talking about the forms of Christian Whitehead version that did manage to able to actually nail it for almost everything, for, smoother frame rates, especially in the special stages department, and especially noticeable with extra content. And it's so many to talk about, but either way, though, I'm just saying that how the fact that I just want to point things out, but either way, though, and what happens is, when my, game doesn't usually start up on my laptop at all, I try to do with my 2 accounts, like one for my main one by able to actually going for a lot of recording sessions and stuff, and another by able to play through PC games and all as such. I'm sadly to say I basically pretty much accidentally get rid of it because, well, obviously because of how the fact that I just have no idea how the hell do I even just trying to able to, able to work on with my PC gaming and stuff, which either way though, that might be sounds a little bit more optimistic to say for this matter though, because I know for the fact that you guys should already know about this at this point. I'm not exactly a PC gamer per se, because I don't know exactly how this will goes out, especially noticeable I haven't access to stream, or especially noticeable on Steam or something, because, well, Honestly, because I much rather prefer playing games on the, you know, TV or consoles or anything like that without any sort of complications or mods or anything like that. I'm using the actual laptop just for the sake of, like, doing multitude of things, like, you know, just capture footage from the actual video games themselves, and especially noticeable for basically everything, like YouTubing and all that stuff. So, anyway though, so that takes care of Green Star number 1 on Bowser Jr.'s Boom Banker, and we're about to be visiting here for the final time. In fact, this will be the final time we're going to be seeing, you know, Bowser Jr., despite the fact that, well, we're not going to fight him for about 3rd or the 4th time in a row, because we're basically done with him from now on. But I'm pretty sure this will be the final time we're going to be seeing Bowser Jr. on screen on the 3D Mario game, because up until likely Super Mario 3D Land, as well as the forms of Super Mario 3D World, as well as the forms of Super Mario Odyssey, the most recent 3D Mario game at this point, we're not gonna see him live from again. Well, at least as far as for the most part anyway, though, because, well, we don't know exactly for sure if they're going to be making another new 3D Mario game for the time. Well, then again, it wasn't until whenever we find out more about it, and during at some point in a big year for the Super Mario Bros. Department for, you know, the 35th anniversary and all that such. So, unfortunately for me, no reward for me for breaking that specific target, as you can see right there. So, oh, screw you, Brewing Bros. I hate you so much. But yeah, that's pretty much as far as I can usually say for this point, guys. It's just that, well, then again, it's because there's some little things to talk about. But either way, though, that's hopefully things to get a little bit more relative in the future. But for now on, though, let's just go ahead and get the final green star in World 5. And also the final green star in Bowser Jr.'s Boom Bunker. And, oh my god. You have to be right on with that aiming shot for that cannon shot right there, because if you somehow missed it by that inch, well, you're probably gonna die instantly if you miss an inch. So, there we go. That pretty much takes care of the forms of Bowser Jr.'s Boom Bunker level, as well as the forms of the majority of World 5. So even in this case, we'll get the endings of here. So join me next time on Let's Play Super Mario Galaxy 2. It's the fact that we are moving on to the forms of World 6 Green Stars. And that will be about it. So see you guys next time. Later, fellas.